Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eric Langkamp, also known as Tricky Hunter. So I have a handful of uh, items to show you guys tonight. You'll notice there's a text box here, but I'm actually going to get to that in a moment. So this is one of the cooler little updates that I've done. I now have motion camera available. So I'm going to walk you through here how I'm controlling the camera. So first off, I've got zoom in and zoom out, which is being controlled by the scroll wheel. And then left click and drag will actually drag you along the horizontal plane, so you're not changing altitude above the battlefield. And then right click will rotate the camera, but only up to a certain point. So you can't flip the camera over in any way, shape, or form. And you also can't gain altitude by anything other than scrolling back. And there's a limit to how far you can scroll back, and then it hits a ceiling. And there's a limit to how far you can scroll down, and it hits a floor. You can also only go so far, so it won't let me go that way. If I rotate, you'll see I'm not going that way, I'm not going that way. So the camera is in place, but you can get relatively close up to these mechs and then take a look over the battlefield so you can actually see a good angle here. So I'm going to leave this, at a cool angle, and I'll do the same thing for this one, different angle, so we can really differentiate between what's going on here. Okay, so next thing that's up is you'll notice that I have a text box here. And this text box is actually the active communication. As you can see, it says hello. Now, I think the text might be relatively small here. I did just drop this down. Um, um, so that I could make sure to fit more text on here, but I think this might be a little small still. Um, but you'll notice that it's popping up on both, and it's actually this text box is not actually writing to this box here and vice versa. It's actually sending this out to the server, so whatever I type here goes out, hits the server, and comes back. So if it shows up here, it means that it's actually been sent across the board to everyone in the match. Alright, so next thing, I actually have heat implemented. So that's another thing you'll notice. It displays how many heat sinks are alive on the mech, and it also shows the level of heat on the mech. There's also, you'll notice here, a slash after your armor numbers, and the number after the slash is actually the internal structure uh, value. So I also modified the bars here to depict how much internal structure damage there is. So let me do some maneuvering here. Whose turn is it? It's this one's turn. I move the end turn button. So I'll move these guys up, and I'll end the turn. And I'll do the same with these guys, and you'll notice heat rose by 1 on both of these. So I'll really move this guy. And now he's in a run with no remaining points. So he went up to 2 here. And you'll see him moving around on there too. Alright, so now it is this one's attack phase, and it looks like the small laser's out of range, but I can fire with everything else. And then this one can attack with everything, so I will. And end turn, and you'll see that he hit the ground there. There was a bit of a delay on that shot. Interesting. So it took a second for the server to catch up, but you'll notice that the heat went up to 14 on him and 15 on him, but you'll notice something cool here. So the green depicts the armor value for the section, yellow bar depicts the internal structure, and it looks like I've got a -1 on that, so I'm gonna have to go through and make some fixes on there. Oh wait, it can go negative right now because there's no check against something being blown off or anything like that. So currently it can go negative. So that's the next thing. So in this instance, the right arm actually would have been torn from the body of the mech. So interestingly enough, um, so there you go. There's some damage. There's some heat. I'll go ahead and go through the process of reducing the heat on these guys, and you'll notice that heat dropped considerably on these ones, and heat just dropped to 0 on that one. So yeah, there's the massive update for you guys. I actually didn't expect to get this much done this evening, but I only worked for a couple hours, which was kind of cool. So it's all falling into place right now. One of the next things is the text box that you're seeing here will be displaying a play-by-play of what occurs. I've got to get criticals in. I've got to get melee combat in. I've got to get the end phase running, mech destruction, and end of match. But after that's all said and done, this is actually then playable. So making some serious progress. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any concerns about anything particular that I just showed you. Please voice it, especially with the heat. I decided to go with the heat being a progressive buildup every time you executed something that builds heat, and having the heat phase reduce the heat at that moment, so you can see it progress up and then fall back down. So if that's not desirable, please let me know, and we can discuss it and figure out a better route. So as always, I'll be on Discord and on Facebook, so feel free to get in touch. You guys have a good evening.